Hello everyone, and welcome to the channel. This video was originally a one-shot where I recorded everything in one go. My attempt here was to record a Wendigoon style video, talking to the camera and whatnot, but I didn't exactly perform super well in it, and I kind of looked like a goblin because I was in the process of growing my hair out, and I hadn't exactly figured out how I wanted to present myself. With that in mind, I made some edits to the video to remove the chair goblin and put gameplay over the footage instead. With all that out of the way, I hope you enjoy the video. Here are 12 uncommon animal jobs. So, topic number 1, turnspit dogs. Turnspit dogs, also known as kitchen or wheeling dogs, were bred specifically for running on a wheel to turn a roasting spit. This allowed for even cooking over an open fire. Their first documentation was in 1576, and they were described as long-bodied, short-legged, and ugly. This breed was likely a mix of several other breeds, including spaniels. They were extremely common to British kitchens by the 18th century, but as more automated forms of roasting were invented, such as the clockwork roasting jack, the jobs they had became obsolete, and by the 1900s, the breeds had died out, and they are now considered to be extinct. Explosive detecting animals. This is going to encompass a few different types of animals, as we have become better at detection and came up with new ideas. The first animal, trained in detection of explosives, were dogs, and the idea that a dog could be used for more than game came out in about 1888, where dogs were used to try and find Jack the Ripper in England. Later, in 1899, Belgium started to train dogs for the police force specifically, and this inspired popularity for the rest of the world. World War II would start the trend of dogs being used specifically for sniffing explosives, and a French source claims Russians were the first to implement these dogs, with as many as 100,000 mines being detected, but there's little to corroborate these claims. The UK developed a program for dogs to learn to detect mines, but it was found that they were unable to perform well in actual field conditions, as the heat and dust proved challenging. Instead, these dogs were used to find locations with mines, instead of locating specific mines, and they proved much more effective. Later, Vietnam would also use trained dogs to detect booby traps, and during a 4-month period, they were used 771 times and alerted to booby traps 53 times. They were concluded to be a useful tool, but never a full solution. In more modern times, these dogs were used in Afghanistan, and studies found humidity to be a key factor into the success of these dogs, along with how much metal the mine contains. Another animal used to locate mines and explosives have been rats. With a superb sense of smell, but light enough to not trigger explosives, these rats are ideal for the job. Through the end of 2021, these rats have found 150,000 explosives, including landmines, across 7 countries in Africa and Southeast Asia, and have returned 70 million square meters of land back to communities. The rat's sense of smell enables them to detect as little as a billionth of a gram of explosives. APOPO trains them using positive reinforcement to sniff out inactive TNT, gradually reducing the amount, and finally graduate them after they detect 100% of explosives in an area with only one false positive. One rat, Magawa, was able to find over 100 landmines in his career, making him the most effective to date. Finally, the most recent animal used for detecting explosives is more of an insect. The common bee has been found to be able to detect the scent of explosives with their antenna. Researchers have specifically trained the honeybees to stick out their proboscis when they smell these devices. Funnily enough, the bees are trained similarly to the rats, by exposing them to an odor of explosives followed by a treat. And researchers claim they are able to detect any substance ranging from dynamite to C4, to even propellant grains found in bullets. The next step for these bees is to be carried in handheld detectors the size of a shoebox, and used in any application from airports to roadside checkpoints, or even placed in a robot bomb disposal equipment. Mini guide horses. Guide horses are an alternative mobility option for blind people who may be allergic to dogs. The idea is believed to have originated from a film in 1943 named The Black Trail, where a dwarf horse was used to guide a blind miner. In 1998, while riding horses in New York, Jeanette and Don Burleson noticed how their horse seemed to know when to cross the street, and recalled a time when a blind rider was able to give a horse directions. And that is when Jeanette wondered if a miniature horse would be able to be trained in a similar role as a dog. These experiences, plus their own pet miniature horse Twinkie that followed them around like a dog, made them begin training miniature horses as seeing animals. They started a training regimen, starting with desensitization training, similar to what horses would experience if they were trained for riot control for police. One small setback that they had was that the horses are smart, and the first time they took one into a grocery store, it stole a Snickers bar off the shelf. One of the first persons to be given a guide horse was Dan Shaw, who was diagnosed with an incurable eye disease. He was worried as the options he was not a fan of. He didn't want a cane and struggled with the idea of a guide dog that only lives 10 years, and upon hearing of this new guide horse, he was interested because of how long horses live. In March 2002, he met his guide horse Cuddles for the first time. They were both sent into a crowded grocery store and successfully navigated the store. In the United States, in September of 2010, the Department of Justice ruled that properly trained and suitably sized mini guide horses were recognized as service animals. Ferrets running wire. While historically ferrets were used as pets to hunt rabbits and rodents, they have picked up a new job thanks to the modernizing world. Since 1982, the National Ferret School in Ashover, UK, has been training ferrets for different jobs, including running wire. By fitting them into a tiny harness, a handler is able to train these ferrets to pull cable wires and rope through extremely tight spaces. This is especially helpful in places where contractors may be working on a historic property where they are unable to rip up floorboards and break down walls. Ferrets are easily able to make their way through narrow passageways and pipes due to their small frame, which can help save time and materials on any given project. One such case was where they were used in 1981, where they were used to thread cables under the floor at St. Paul's Cathedral in London. One downside is that ferrets like to nibble on things, and their small intestines, the size of shoestrings, can become gummed up by plastic and rubber that protects the cable should they chew on the wire. Snake massages. Snake massages are a relatively recent phenomenon where several snakes are laid upon a person, and the snakes moving around your body is supposed to be a relaxing experience. The first documented case of snake massages started around the early 2000s, with places like Egypt and Russia offering them as a unique form of relaxation. Historically, there is a connection between healing and snakes that goes back to ancient Greek mythology, with the rod of Asclepius being a snake entwined around a staff. Snake massages gained popularity around 2010, with features on news channels and other reality TV shows exposing the practice, although it still remains niche. The main draws are a unique and exotic experience, while others claim that the movement of snakes on your body can improve circulation and relaxation, and also reduces the fear of snakes. 2 bird jobs. There's a long history of different jobs for birds, but here are 2 of the more interesting ones. Cormorants are birds that, similarly to pelicans, stay by the water and catch fish, but an ancient fishing practice takes advantage of the bird's skill. By slipping a ring around a cormorant's throat, small enough to not let them swallow, these birds will hold on to the fish they catch in their mouth, allowing for their owners to take the fish from them. The exact age of this technique is unknown, but the earliest records date back to China's Book of Sui in the year 636 CE, which describes the technique being used in Japan. While associated with East Asia, and particularly Japan, several countries have accounts of this practice, from Greece to England and France. Today, it's mainly a cultural attraction, showcasing the unique bond between birds and humans. Another bird's job gives the bird its name. Known as the honey guide bird, these birds have trained themselves to guide people to beehives. These small brown birds love to eat bee larvae and beeswax, so when a forager is walking nearby, these birds will fly up to you to grab your attention, and then lead you to a tree that has beehives hidden within. Despite popular belief, these birds do not have a relationship with the honey badger and will not help them to find a hive. Military marine mammals. Military use of marine mammals in the US began in the 60s to help study the capabilities of sonar to detect underwater objects. More than a dozen different species of marine mammals were tested, such as rays, sharks, sea turtles, and marine birds, but the Navy now relies on two species, the bottlenose dolphin and the California sea lion. These animals were used as teammates for sailors and marines to help guard against threats underwater. Dolphins naturally possess the most sophisticated form of sonar known to science. Mines and other dangerous underwater objects that are normally difficult to find are quite easy for dolphins. For recovering objects anywhere in the ocean, sea lions are able to locate and attach recovery lines to Navy equipment for easy recovery. Both dolphins and sea lions are capable of tracking objects in low light conditions and have excellent directional hearing, allowing for precise targeting of objects. Over short distances, they are trained to swim along or ride in the boat itself, but for longer trips, these animals are transported by naval vessel or in planes or helicopters, while under the watchful eye of veterinarians. Puppy sniffs out pests. In a museum, bugs can cause quite a large issue. Moths eat textiles, beetles burrow into wood, and silverfish can destroy books. This conundrum is hopefully to be stopped by the museum edition of Riley. The Boston Museum of Fine Arts has a plan to train the dog to sit in front of a piece when he detects the smell of an insect, to hopefully quell the destruction of museum items. After his training, they put him to the test, and it seems to be working. His first find was on a carpet in storage, which, once they unrolled, they found full of pests. Riley currently lives at the museum, working in the background to assist his team in spotting potentially disastrous situations. And these next four are going to be about monkeys. Monkey assistant. Living with disabilities can be very difficult, and for the past 41 years, Helping Hands has trained capuchin monkeys to provide assistance to these people. The recipients range from spinal cord injuries to multiple sclerosis and muscular dystrophy. A monkey helper can assist with tasks such as grabbing dropped objects, pushing buttons, turning pages, drinking water, or even repositioning limbs in a wheelchair. The monkeys are only trained to help around the house, however, so don't expect to see these monkeys walking around in the street with people. A baboon ran a railway signal station. Jack, the Chacma baboon, was an assistant to James Wide, a double-leg amputee signalman who worked for Cape Town Port Elizabeth Railway Service. James was known for being a rowdy signalman, jumping between train cars until an accident caused him to fall and lose both legs at the knee. To assist him in serving the railway, he purchased Jack, who he trained to push his wheelchair and use railway signals under his supervision. After some initial skepticism, they decided to employ Jack as well, and he was paid 20 cents a day and half a bottle of beer each week. It was reported in his 9 years of employment he never made a single mistake. Guard monkeys. In Asia, monkeys are a big problem. They are known to roam around and cause mayhem within towns, stealing from people or haggling for food. This has caused security officials to deploy their own monkeys to help combat the others. Langurs are larger than normal monkeys, and because of their size and attitude, other monkeys stay away. The New Delhi Municipal Council put these langurs on duty around the outside of several venues, which had the desired effect of scaring away these common monkeys. And finally, coconut picking monkeys. This last one is bound to kick up some dust depending on what you have heard about it. If you have eaten coconut products, there is a reasonable chance it was imported from Thailand. And if it is from Thailand, there's an even greater chance it was harvested by a monkey. Thailand has been raising and training pig-tailed macaques to pick coconuts for 400 years, and many neighboring countries have also picked up the practice. Why use monkeys? It's safer for everyone involved, and faster too. Monkeys can collect anywhere from 1,600 to 600 coconuts a day, while the average human can only get 80. Add to the fact that climbing or cutting coconuts can be dangerous for anyone nearby, and falling coconuts kill over 600 people a year. The main concern with these monkey workers is treatment. There have been many articles passed around talking about how the monkeys are abused and mistreated, but Arjun Shrovers believes otherwise. Arjun, who runs the monkey training school in Surat Thani, Thailand, reaches these monkeys to help without the use of force or violence. He explains that it is always relaxed, with no shouting or punishment, and after each few trees, the monkeys are checked for red ants. As for chaining or tethering the monkeys, he states that the tethers offer a variety of uses, such as guiding the monkey up the tree. This is all to say there are certainly some cruelty that does happen from some farmers, but overall most farmers are respectful and care for these monkeys. And finally, we have reached the end of this video. And that's the end of this video. Starting next week, you'll be seeing my newest video, and following that, there will be brand new content not from my previous channel being posted. If you stayed, I appreciate it, and thank you for supporting the channel.